Now, I'm not sure what Malik Scott and Wilder have planned for this fight. And from the video clips that I've watched of Wilder in his training, it looks like they plan on fighting off the back foot and taking Zhang to the later rounds in hopes of him running out of gas and try to get a late stoppage. And if they can, in the early rounds, possibly catch Zhang early, plodding forward really slow, and catch him coming in. I'm just guessing maybe that is the plan for this fight. Zhang has pretty good head movement for someone his size, and his footwork is okay, but he's slow. But from comparing the two fighters with Wilder and Zhang versus Parker, Wilder, who seems to be more athletic, versus Zhang, actually did worse against Parker when Parker fought Zhang, who Zhang isn't as athletic as Wilder. So this fight is a fight where we just don't know what version of Wilder we're going to get. And do we have the same Wilder that we used to have back in the PBC days, where he was fighting a bunch of guys who weren't that great, but they were okay. They were okay opponents for what it's worth. Okay. Wilder being 38 years old and Zhang close to 40. I believe he's 41 years old. Okay. And looking at just the whole landscape of the heavyweight division, I come to a conclusion that heavyweights probably aren't going to get down to the weight of Wilder at 214 or Usyk at around 220-ish, right? Those heavyweights probably won't come back again. And especially if Zhang wins this fight against Wilder, weighing in at 282 pounds. We have all these heavyweights now are just getting bigger and slower. And some might say, oh, the heavyweights evolved, but I don't think so. I think they devolved. Now, I will say this compared to compared to like Areola or Ruiz or Big Baby Miller, Zhang, for someone who is 282 pounds, he doesn't fit that size he doesn't look like those other heavyweights who are close to 300 pounds or 275 pounds and up, right? He doesn't look like them. He's 6'6". He's a big, solid heavyweight fighter that's 282 pounds. He looks a lot more solid than Fury when he weighs in at 275 pounds, 265 pounds, right? So this is what makes Zhang stand out more than these other heavyweights who are just fat slobs, fat, lazy-looking slobs. And so when you look at a heavyweight like Fury, who lost to a smaller heavyweight, that shows you that not every time a bigger man beats a smaller, bigger man. Especially when it comes down to the weight. We all know that the weight is part of the reason why Fury lost to Usyk. He ran out of gas. And it was the pace of the fight, the volume, right? We don't know Wilder to be this type of fighter. He's not a volume puncher. He is a guy who's looking for one shot. He can't fight on the inside. He can't fight getting pushed back. Wilder needs his range to shoot a right hand. And he needs you to stand still. Okay? Zhang has the weight on him. Zhang has pretty good upper body movement. And Zhang is also a big puncher. And we've seen Wilder have the war with Fury all 3 times. And I do believe that, especially the last fight, I do believe that those fights took a lot out of both of them. So Zhang is fighting Wilder at the perfect time, even out of Zhang's mouth. He said Wilder isn't the same right now. He said it. Now, the last thing to go is your punch. And we've seen that with Lennox Lewis. We've seen that with George Foreman. We've seen that in some fights with Mike Tyson. We've seen that in some fights with David Tua, Ernie Shavers, all these guys who had big punches. We've seen that punch save them when they were at their older stage and past their prime. So does Wilder have that? We didn't see that in the Parker fight. And I do believe that Parker is a very good heavyweight. He always was a good heavyweight. He just doesn't have the punch. But he was always a good heavyweight. He was always a top heavyweight. A top quality heavyweight. And although some will say, well, Wilder isn't the same guy, Parker was able to beat him and beat him convincingly. Whereas on the other hand, Parker had a hard time with Zhang. Zhang showed things that Wilder did not do in the fight, and he's bigger and slower. He was able to drop Parker twice. And I do believe that Parker did edge out a win, but that was a razor-thin win. I also believe that Zhang beat Filip Hrgović, who is this heavyweight that I could tell that his promoter, they're trying to make him a star. I do believe that Zhang won that fight, but he lost the fight. So Zhang has that loss on his record. Okay. But Zhang fought Filip Hrgović, a very good fighter, Joe Joyce twice, a good fighter, beat him, knocked him out twice, and then lost to Parker. Okay, that's 4 fights, okay, with 3 good opponents. And he looked good in all 3. 2 of them he won by KO. 1 of them he almost won by KO. Okay. Wilder, okay, lost to Fury twice, both by KO. Then he beats Robert Helenius, which is, Helenius is, he's whatever. He's whatever. Then he loses to Parker. Okay. So he's 3-1 in his last 4 fights. And you're only as good as your last fight, as they say. So with the puncher's chance, that is what Wilder has to beat Zhang. I think he doesn't have anything else. I don't think he could beat Zhang. I don't think he's going to be able to outbox him because he's not a volume puncher. Wilder doesn't have a very good jab. He doesn't really set up the right hand that great. It's just that the opponents that he faced just weren't that good. So he doesn't have much. Okay, as much as he looks the part of being a very athletic fighter, he's not that athletic. But he's athletic enough against the heavyweights that he's gone against in an era that doesn't have that many good heavyweights. So the only chance that he has to win this fight is by a KO, in my opinion. Whereas Zhang is going to be very dangerous, especially the first 4 or 5 rounds. And the first 4 or 5 rounds, if Wilder can handle the first 4 or 5 rounds, what will the later half look like? We don't know, because we don't know if Wilder has the stamina like he used to have, because he looked tired against Parker, and Zhang gets tired. And this could be a fight where in the later half, they're not throwing that many punches and it's going to be a lot of clinching. We don't know. But I do believe that this fight will end in a KO. I do believe that. And I do believe that Zhang is going to pull off a victory in this fight. I do believe that Zhang has the momentum right now. He has the confidence right now. And he's fighting Wilder at the right time. And I'm not saying that if Wilder was younger, he would automatically beat Zhang. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that I don't see the same Wilder that we used to see. And I also don't like the fact that Wilder is very, very light in this fight, because he isn't that heavyweight that being light is okay, because he doesn't have the Usyk skills. He doesn't have the Parker skills. He doesn't have those abilities like a heavyweight boxer who moves and sets up shots and throws jabs and has the right foot placement. So I don't know. But my prediction is for Zhang to win. And I'm not going to be surprised if Wilder wins, because Wilder got the right hand. But my prediction is I think Zhang is going to win. Here at the MOBC, if Zhang loses, here at the MOBC, we don't eat crow, because I think that's a lame term. Please don't use eat crow in my comment section. I don't like that term. I don't know who made up that term, but it's a dumb term, eating crow. It's stupid. But I do predict that Zhang is going to win this fight. And I do predict that, and I do feel like if Zhang does win this fight, I'd like to see him have his rematch with Parker. And then the winner out of Parker and Zhang, I'd like to see them fight the winner out of Philip Hrgovic and Dubois. But this is the MOBC, and that's my prediction. Please like, share, and subscribe.